Hi, friends. Hello, the world. Let me check that my mic, everything's working. Yes, it seems like working. So, happy holidays to all of you who are celebrating Christmas and other holidays in this festive season. And of course, I will be recording another one next week to talk about all the lessons that I've learned for this year, living my life on purpose and deciding to uh, live in places of my choosing and everything and how that's going. So stay tuned for that. And this week, I just returned from Kiev and to my village because I wanted to celebrate holidays with my loved ones here. And I was just thinking that it was living in Kiev in different realities, coming back to the village, and also learning that we have now apparently limitations in using electricity because Kyrgyzstan is struggling to have enough electricity. So that's why we're not allowed to use more than one heater. So you can imagine that I am. I don't like being constrained, so I'm not liking any of it. But anyway, that's how it is, unfortunately. And also, as I arrived home, my relatives told me that there were two attempts to rob my house because there is apparently a belief that I'm very rich and I have money and people may want to steal it. And thankfully, nothing happened. But anyway, when I heard this, I've been having trouble sleeping at night. Anyway, so this is the life in the village. But nevertheless, we're getting ready for the New Year celebration. I will be inviting all of my relatives, siblings, and everyone here, and we'll be having great holidays. So today, I wanted to talk about the question or the answer to the question that I get a lot. And I'm surprised that I haven't really addressed it in a very specific way. So I want to do that. And it may take some time because I find it's very important that, excuse me, we get really dialed in into the nitty gritty details. So that's why I hope that you will stay to hear the answer to the question of how to love your job, because I get this question a lot. And oftentimes, when I get this question, the message behind it seems to be I'm struggling with my job and I don't like it or I hate it. And I don't really have any other options but to stay in my job. So I may as well try now how to like it or how to love it so that I don't need to be searching for other options. This seems to be the question with the message that comes to me. And here is the answer, a short answer, and there's also the long answer. The short answer is the only way, in my opinion, the only way to love your job, or at least to be neutral about your job, is if you take responsibility for, uh, recognize and take responsibility for you actually creating that feeling of not liking your job. In other words, as soon as you recognize that this you not liking your job is because of you choosing to believe certain things about your job, as long as you don't recognize that, you will not be able to change anything. As long as you recognize it, then we can do something about it. I know it may sound a bit abstract now, so stay with me. I will try to explain it even more in detail of what I mean. So, if we come or if we keep asking ourselves the question, I don't like my job and I just don't know what to do about it, and it's really not up to me to like my job or not, but I just don't, and this is how it is, then we're not really taking responsibility for our thinking and believing those things about our jobs. And then therefore we're just asking or waiting for someone else to fix it for us, or we're just thinking that we cannot be helped and therefore we will not be helping ourselves. Do you know what I mean? So as long as we keep believing that we don't like our jobs and there's nothing we can do about it, this is how it is, and life is how it is. Many people don't like their jobs, so this is just the fact of life, so to say, then we will not be able to change anything about it because we're not taking responsibility and we're not recognizing that we are actually the ones who are believing those thoughts to be true, and therefore we're not liking our job. So therefore, if you want to love your job, or if you want to be at least neutral about your job, you need to take responsibility and recognize that you are creating not liking it. Because you can also decide not to create that if you wanted to. You might be asking how, and you might not be even believing that, am I really creating this? Why would I be creating this for myself if I know that it sucks? And that's a very good question. But first, let's take a look at what happens if we don't like our jobs. When I ask myself this question, and I have experienced this so much in my own career as well. So when I don't like my job, this is the thing that happens, the consequences of it, right? So I'll be thinking a lot about overwhelming tiredness, unnecessary cycle of the same thoughts circling around, then finally getting to an exhaustion. I will have to be forcing myself to do the work and getting up every morning and crawling out of bed and just barely going and doing things. I will be complaining about it. I will not be liking myself for complaining about it, but I'll be doing it anyway. And I will just be believing that everything is so difficult or depleting at least, and I will just be dragging myself to do it. So then I asked myself, why would I do this to myself? Right? Why would I unintentionally, or if not, I'm not recognizing if it's that I'm creating it, then I would just ask myself, why am I choosing to believe this way? Why am I choosing to believe that I don't like my job? Then these are the answers that came up, and you can also ask yourself your answers for this. The answers that came up for me is because I just didn't believe in my abilities or trust myself enough to change something. I just felt like I'm tired and just want to be complaining and not really doing anything about it. And maybe I even like complaining about it because I can also get together with other people with similar situations and just say, yeah, life is like this, it sucks. We're just people who don't like our jobs. And just thinking that this is normal, that people don't have to like, or many people don't like their jobs, so therefore I'm just one of them. These might be the reasons why I'm choosing to believe that now, or why am I believing that? And once we realize all of this, all of these consequences, and once we are also asking the question of how to love our jobs, it means that we want to do something about it, right? We want to change something about it because we know the consequences of not liking it, and we're not liking that at all. So now what to do? So usually there are three options available, and I'm assuming you know those three options. And let's say that we will just go through this, and then let's say that you don't really have the option of quitting, even though we always do. But let's say for the sake of this argument, we don't have that option of quitting because we need to pay the dues and all the other things. So we have the option of quitting, but if you don't believe it's not an option, it's fine. Then we have the option of continuing doing things the way we're doing, or we have the option of stop hating or stop not liking our jobs, at least stop making our jobs be the source of all the trouble, all the struggles. So then we definitely can work on changing our beliefs, our thoughts about our job, as long as we think that it's possible to change it, as long as we believe that it's in our own control to whether to like our job or not. As I said before, we cannot do anything about it unless we're believing that we're just, so we can't do anything to change as long as we're believing that this is how it is, I can't be helped. So we need to believe that this is in our control. I'm choosing to think this. So asking ourselves, why am I choosing to think this? Finding the answers can be the first step. And once we recognize, it's actually because of my own beliefs, because of my own thoughts about my job or about certain people in my job, then we can then decide what to do with it. Maybe some of those thoughts are very valid, that we want to keep them, we want to believe in them because that's what we believe to be our truth about it. Then what do we do with that? Right? So you notice the difference of just staying in the bubble of I can't be helped, this is how things are, it's beyond my control, versus this is in my control. I am creating this. I'm choosing to believe certain things to be true. And now I decide to do something about it. So one is taking a very passive position of I'm just a victim, or I'm just I'm just this person who has no power over changing anything, versus I'm in charge. I take responsibility. I decide what to do with it. It's up to me whether I want to keep believing that these are the people who are at fault because of which because of whom I'm not liking it, or I decide what to do with it and I'm going to change something about it. So now if we are in this active position of recognizing and taking responsibility for why we're not liking our jobs and knowing the reasons, then we can get to work and decide what to do with it. So if the reason is because of someone else, we're not liking our job, we just need to make sure that it's not being fueled by blame. In other words, you are the reason why I hate my job, but rather if this person and I could cooperate to change ABC, then we would be working well and I would enjoy doing my job as well. Then it's just a matter of talking to that person. And if the person is not willing to cooperate, or if we cannot get what we want, then again, deciding on what to do with that information. If it's about us not feeling comfortable or good at what we do in that particular task, then again, deciding whether we want to get better at it, or whether we want to change it, or whether we want to find another solution to it. If the answer is, or the reason why we're not liking is because we think that we're not supposed to be doing, this task that we're doing, then what do we do with that information as well? So as you can see, in every step of this, we are bringing that until the end to decide what to do with whatever the information, whatever the reason why this is happening, or we believe this to be happening, then we are doing something about it. We are being active about it, and we're also choosing to and choosing to believe that this is the reason why I'm believing this, and I'm fine with it, and I'm going to continue believing this truth, and therefore I'm going to work to, if not like my job, at least be neutral about it and continue doing it, rather than I just don't know what to do about it, I can't help, I have to be here, and I'm just stuck at this job, and there's no other way out. Because as long as we keep believing that there's no way around, there's no way out, we are stuck, and this is how it is, we just continue depleting ourselves. We just continue sending ourselves the message that we don't trust ourselves enough to make changes. We don't give ourselves enough credit. We just put ourselves in this powerlessness situation. And no wonder why we keep being so struggling. We keep putting ourselves in this struggle of every day going to work. So instead, I suggest that whenever we are believing that we don't like our jobs, or we're not able to love our jobs and how to do that, that means that you're probably not liking your job, and ask yourself, why are you choosing to think that? And what do you want to do with that? And taking responsibility and recognizing that this is actually your making based on your reaction to the external circumstances, then decide what to do with that information as well. How do you want to react to what's going on outside of you? How do you want to make changes in the way that's useful for you? And how do you want to process all of this, all of these feelings on time? And then continue doing your job in the best of your abilities, and bring yourself to this position of being in charge, rather than I just have to do it. So whenever we are in charge, whenever we're feeling like we're contributing, whenever we are feeling like we are creating results we want, we are being useful, we are using our abilities, we are getting what we want, whenever we have those, then it's likely we're going to like our jobs, if not love our jobs. So I hope this will be helpful for you to consider in your search for loving your job. And I have also made the blog post about it, so you can also read this if it was a bit difficult to follow on video. But I'm assuming that you will let me know in case you have questions, and I will be here to answer all of them and coach you through some of your issues on this if you would like to get coached as well. So, my dears, have a wonderful holidays, and I will be talking to you next Friday. Bye-bye.